Hello everybody, welcome to this week's Onboard Story. We are at Spa. This is quite an interesting one. Lots of twists and turns, and this is part 2 of the 12-hour race at Spa-Francorchamps, the Creventic series. So the series is called the 24-hour series, but I was taking part in a 12-hour race. So part 2 of the race, I was doing the start. We're technically one lap down, but they regroup us. I'm right behind Frank Stippler now, one of my racing heroes, trying to spot the lights. Heading into turn 1, 3, 2, 1, and I managed to get a pretty good jump on him there. But it's a long race, to quote the cliche, so I don't bomb into the hairpin trying to make up more positions. I try to take it easy on the inside and just see what happens. A little bit of loss of traction there. Tires were still cold even though we had 2 warm-up laps for the specific restart. I'm blocking a Ferrari on the inside, which actually happens to be my teammate in this race, and then this Audi goes towards the inside and I get the run on the outside. I do use a little bit of track, but I have 2 wheels on the curb, which is actually allowed in this series, means I did not abuse track limits there. Getting the run up the hill, I now have to chase down a Mercedes, well actually quite a few cars. I think we started P8 on the grid for the start, and because of the way the rules work, even if you're a lap down, they group you with your class. So in my mind, this was sort of a rerun of the race itself. I didn't drive the day before, I just did the qualifying. So I wanted to do the best possible job for Team Wochenspiegel using here Ferrari 48 GT3. The reason I chose this specific clip is I wanted to show you when things don't go as smoothly as possible. Obviously the previous clip with the Paul Ricard race, I had my best race probably in a long time. This race did not go smoothly for me, this stint in particular. I'm trying to make progress. I want to catch the guys in front. I've always had a pretty decent record at Spa. Up until this point I held the lap record in a GT3 car, and I'd won the Spa 24 hours twice in a row in different classes, also in Ferraris. So I know my way around this track quite well, which is ironic because in simulators I suck around here, and I don't know why. But in real life I seem to do pretty decently. So anyway, here we are in the slipstream, heading to complete the first lap of the day. I think there was 8 hours left in this race. They run 4 hours the day before and then 8 hours the following day, so that there's no night racing in this particular series. Getting a good slipstream, I think I choose to go around the outside. Boom, there we go. This is one of my favorite moves at the track. And if you position the car in the right way and can convince the other car to go towards the inside, it's not that difficult. Okay, it's, you don't eat those for breakfast, but it's doable without much drama. I'm actually leaving some space on the inside there because to do that move, I opened up the door for the red Ferrari that I blocked at the beginning of the lap. He was going to try come up to the inside into the hairpin, so I just gave him a little bit of space there. Heading into Eau Rouge here for the first time in the morning. It is not flat in the races, only in qualifying in the Ferrari with light fuel. We're using a Hankook tyre here, which is quite different to what I was used to, which is the Pirelli tyre. I've got quite a lot of experience on the Pirelli now, and also last year I used a Michelin in the GT Open. So this tyre took quite a bit of getting used to initially, not on this particular day, but in testing. And I'm still trying to manage it through a stint and just to try to understand where the grip is coming from. I had raced on it before in the Mugello 12-hour, which you can see in a separate video. But it was behaving differently at Spa, and you'll see that sort of unfold. I had quite a lot of pace in this morning, the start of this 8-hour stint. I wasn't doing 8 hours, I was only doing 1 hour, but I had quite a lot of pace in this first stint of the morning, and was getting pretty excited that I was catching the leaders in front. At the time we thought we just had indomitable pace, but it could have been that they were looking after their tires for a bit later in the stint. On this particular weekend, the tire supply for the series had a lot of problems with punctures, and we'd seen this sort of unfold the day before, but our car wasn't affected. A couple of Audi cars did have issues with multiple pit stops with punctures, and no one sort of knew the reason why. But in our specific case with this car, we didn't have a single problem the day before, so I was given the go-ahead to go flat out. Blanchimar is another corner on the Pirelli tire, at least is not easy flat, but it is flat, which means full gas, for those of you who don't quite understand the lingo. But with the Hankook, just looking after the tire again and lifting through the corner. You know, a lot of people talk a lot about Eau Rouge Radiant being the corner which requires the most sort of bravery, but trust me, when you try to go through Blanchimar flat for the first time, it's not as smooth as you'd think. It's actually a little bit blind on the exits. There's a lot of G-loads going in, and it's quite easy to get a snap oversteer from the apex to the exit, and you can put yourself into the wall quite easily. There's a lot of big accidents there during the weekend of Spa 24. So the Lambo here had a small moment going up Eau Rouge. He had to lift at the top, which gave me this awesome run. I wasn't quite sure who was in the car. It could have either been Rolf Neichen or Bortolotti or Engelhardt. I'm not sure. All three of those drivers I rate highly though, so it was quite cool to go around the outside into La Source. No, not La Source. The corners at the end of the Kemmel Straight. I always forget them. When we go to racetracks, even if we know the corner name, we try to refer to corner numbers, because not everyone speaks the same language, not everyone is as obsessed as say I would be with corner names, and frankly the corner names change quite a bit through their lifetime, so it's always better for us to reference corner numbers. This just makes our lives a little bit easier, but for the sake of this video I'll call them by their names. So we just went through Pouan there. When you go through there in a GT3 car, it's downhill, long left-hander, and you just always feel like the rear is going to slide out of control, but it's just the nature of the corner. You're in fourth gear and you're getting wheel spin from the sort of middle of Pouan to the exit. It's quite thrilling. Stavilo 1 and 2, got to be very patient. Get on the power as early as you can. Stavilo 2 qualifying, easy flat in the race, it is a lift. And on the exit you just got to rely on the gradient of the corner to pull you around without worrying sort of about getting onto the AstroTurf. It just takes a lot of some laps and experience to get used to that corner. The apex speed, to be honest, of Blanchimar this particular day was not so bad. So in this specific race, some of you may notice that the car sounds a little bit different to the Paul Ricard onboard, and that's because we were allowed to use the exhaust of the GTE car, so this sounds much better in real life. We're just going to fast forward a bit, because after I got ahead of the Lamborghini, I had my head down to catch third, second and first. Here's an example though of when you get to traffic, because this is a mixed class race. I caught this car just at the wrong moment, and you see how much slower I have to go through the right left sort of the piff path S-bends before Stavilo 1. That really can kill your momentum if you get the timing wrong, but you can't always get it perfect. Anyway, we're going to speed up again now and try get up to I believe it was the yellow Mercedes that I was trying to chase down for third place. So I think now I'm in a hypothetical fourth, but I'm trying to get the Mercedes. I wasn't sure who was driving the Mercedes, and in the Porsche of Robert Renauer, who is the GT Masters champion, highly respected. I think he's a legend, and the leader, which is Matteo Malucelli. So I'm getting stuck here a little bit behind the back marker of the RS3 Audi, but I managed to go to the inside. I've driven the Golf TCR, which is the competitor to that RS3, and it's really fun. There's actually a video of that on my channel for those interested. So the traffic here, I think we already got past the Mercedes, pretty clear. So I'm already chasing down the Porsche and the Ferrari, and if you just saw there, I got some sort of strange snap oversteer, which I wasn't anticipating, even though I knew I was offline. I thought I'd sort of gathered it up, and then when you see me go through Pouan here, as I turned in, there was a little bit of oversteer. Again, oversteer. So something strange is starting to happen, but you know, this could be dirt on the track, it could be pickup, it could be a whole number of things, and you just got to sort of trust the car and keep going. But so far so good. I'm much quicker than the guys in front. They are, unfortunately for them at least, getting stuck in unideal situations with the traffic, which is bringing them towards me. It's not like I had manic pace or anything, it was just timing of the traffic. They had built up a gap initially while I was trying to overtake cars, and now I had the opportunity to chase them down and catch traffic in better parts of the track where I didn't necessarily have to slow down. So because of that, I'm getting much closer. My target is to get the Porsche and then hunt down the Ferrari, which has been dominating this series, and sort of get one over them. And we'll see if that happens, but it was nice, at least for the moment, to catch the guys. You'll see my windscreen wiper is starting to move to the middle. This happens when we are in a slipstream, and there you go, I just press the button to move it back down. That should only really be used if it's raining, or if you know for sure that you have no grease on your windscreen. But if there is any oil on the windscreen, you won't press the button, and you'll just leave the windscreen wiper sort of moving up and doing its own thing. So now I'm smelling a little bit of blood. My team is actually giving me lots of positive vibes on the radio, but I was starting to wonder what was going on with the handling of the car. Through Eau Rouge there, I actually didn't want to turn in because this sort of strange oversteer was starting to become more apparent to me. So I just wanted to be quite careful of that, going through the corner and opening the steering quite a lot at the top of Eau Rouge. Just on the limit of what they define as track limits in this specific series. So if this was in Blancpain, I may have been done for track limits, but in this series they are a little bit more lenient, and as a racing driver it's your responsibility to take advantage of those elements. So up against the Porsche now of Robert Renauer, I'm getting really close to him, and I'm getting quite excited because I want to make the move, you know. But it is a 12-hour race, of which we still had 8 hours to go, so you got to sort of balance your risk and rewards. If this was a sprint race, I'd maybe go for an earlier move, but my plan here is to see if I can get him in a moment where he's slowed down by traffic. So in some areas I leave a little bit of space, sort of trying to anticipate the traffic, but that's like trying to make a hole-in-one from here to Jupiter. It's not always going to work, and you do need a little bit of luck to get that traffic timing right, but that was still my plan. There's a car between us here, well, us and the leader, and this slows us down, but I don't anticipate it at the right moment. A little bit of snap oversteer again. This is not how I started the stint, so I'm starting to really wonder what's unfolding. Sometimes it could just be that you know, the tires are getting older. This was a carryover set from the day before, and that's how the rules are. Once you finish the 4 hours the day before, you park the cars on the grid, and you use the same set of tires and whatever fuel is left in the car. Oh, so here we go. I bomb around the outside of the Porsche, try to get a good run, and now he is actually coming to my inside. So I'm going to block him with the traffic in front. I'm going to force him to run on that line, and that still gives me the inside line into the hairpin. This is one of my favorite moves I've done this year. It was really satisfying to get the outside line for the chicane, the bus stop chicane, going into the final part of the lap, and then being lucky enough that when he attempted the cutback, I was able to sort of create a scissor, anticipate the scissor, and then here is a mother of all moments. I thought I was going to crash at that point, but kept it flat. Somehow managed to catch it and keep going. There's my hand, like just going, that was okay. So now something's really starting to unfold with me, and it turns out, we'll find out quite soon, that we are starting to experience a slow puncture. And I could start to sense that, okay, this is more than just pickup or something like that, because for the most part, at least, I was running on the racing line. I was overtaking on the inside of corners, and not sort of, I mean, for the traffic, I was overtaking on the inside of corners and using the racing line as much as I could. So now I'm starting to worry and talk to the guys on the radio, hey, to the team, just watch out on the tire pressure sensors, which we have in all our cars as a safety measure, just see if there's anything that's unfolding with the tires. But it turned out that on this weekend, when the tires were failing, you'd be fine, and then suddenly you get not a sudden drop in pressure, but a fast and progressive linear drop in pressure. So first you'd feel a little bit of oversteer and like just unpredictable rear instability, and then bang, the tire failure would start to unfold. So it was a huge shame, because we weren't the only ones who were experiencing this, and the day before, as I mentioned, we had no tire failures compared to some of our competitors, but on this particular day things really went south for us. So now we're catching the leader here. I think to myself, let me go around the outside of this Porsche, and then he opens the steering at the last minute into Blanchimard, and I have to go super wide to keep it all together. And this is probably where I'd already gone too far. The leading Ferrari over there, he just overtook that Mercedes, and he has to go into the pits, and initially we couldn't understand why, but it turned out that he was experiencing the same problem as me. They had one slow puncture on the day, and that was it right there. So I didn't have the satisfaction of overtaking him for the proverbial lead. Remember, we are one lap down, but because I started the race in the same group as them, you know, I have the sort of satisfaction of catching them and racing with them. But I didn't have the satisfaction there of physically overtaking Marcello on the track, who by the way is a really fast driver. I managed to get Eau Rouge much better that time, but I had a big lift to keep it on the line, and it was at this point here that we're so focused on tire pressures more than anything else that I'm no longer sort of concerned about banging in the best lap times possible. It's more like, okay, what sort of lines can I do? What can I change in my driving to try and manage these tire problems? Unfortunately for me, and this is why I wanted to show this video, I didn't actually get on top of that, and more tire failures ensued throughout the day, and eventually we had to retire the car. So, you know, not ideal, but okay. Excuse me for that one. Just by the way, for those of you complaining about the mic, I am getting a new mic soon. I've been using my gaming headset up till now, and I didn't expect to get so many subscribers. You know, I didn't expect this channel to grow as quickly as it has, so I'll use this opportunity now to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And I am going to try bring as many onboard stories as possible. It depends on the rights of the suppliers, of the series. So for example with the Blancpain, it's not as easy, but I'm going to speak to them and ask for special permission. And if I do get their permission, I have some really awesome footage from Silverstone, from Brands Hatch, and maybe from Paul Ricard as well. But for now we're going to focus on Spa. Coming up in just over a month's time is the Spa 24-hour, and man oh man, that is the race of races for us GT3 drivers, and I absolutely cannot wait to get going there. So here we are. I think there's one lap to go in this video. The car up until this point, even with those like snappy oversteer moments, was just so quick, and it was just such a shame because I was having so much fun driving this thing, and I didn't want it to end. You know, I wanted to do a double stint here, which means 2 hours behind the wheel. But unfortunately, on this lap, that is not what happens. We're going to go now through Eau Rouge, and everything's going to feel okay. But very soon after Eau Rouge, and going down the Camel Straight, I get a warning on my dashboard that I couldn't remember specifically if it was the left rear or the right rear, which was starting to fail. And what happens is, in this particular case, it doesn't go from, let's just say, 2 bar to 0 bar. It goes like 1.9, 1.8, 1.7, then it hovers around there, 1.6, and that's like emergency. Then a red light starts to flash, and then you know for sure that you've got a puncture because the tire temperature is still up. So going now, I think this is turn 8, and heading towards this turn 8, which is downhill right-hander hairpin. Very difficult to get this right and stay to the right going into no name. And boom, as I turn in here, you'll see just on the center console there's a red light, and puncture happened. So that was unfortunate. We had to eventually box, change the tire, and keep going. We lost a little bit of time, but anyway, in the end, it seemed to be a recurring issue. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this informative onboard, and I'll catch you around the next lap. Cheers.